The Dynamic St. Brown brothers have a podcast called the St. Brown Podcast. They had Jalen Noel, rookie third rounder from the Houston Texans, on. And I got to tell you, you'd have to work to hate this kid. This is an eminently likable kid. I call him a kid. I know he's a man, but he's a rookie, damn it. But I think he's got his head on his shoulders. Just a few of these. I know a lot of people are intrigued by this guy he's an undersized wide receiver, and yet he had a very impressive bench by wide receiver standards. Or honestly, just an impressive bench regardless for especially an undersized guy at the combine. Here is one of the St. Brown brothers asking about his 23 reps at the combine.
For me, 20 was like, damn, but 23, how much do you weigh?
I weigh 195 right
That's
now.
nuts. Like, were you practicing? Were you like repping it out a lot before?
I mean, I'm always been like a big like weight room guy.
Right.
Like, actually, you was talking about earlier how your background with the weight room and stuff. But it's just always something that I get. It's like joyful for me. Like I'm in the weight room. I'm trying to be competitive with other guys, pushing other guys. But it's something that I always like. I knew I'd get a lot of reps, but I didn't know like 23. My goal was like 25. Receiver record was like 27.
Really?
But didn't get too much sleep the night before after the combine. I'm sure you knew exactly how that felt. But it's a lot that goes into it. They be having them fresh weights. The bench is weird. So
it's heavy, a little heavier.
Yeah, it's a little heavier. You go in
My
there.
adrenaline was pumping.
Ain't nothing shaved off the weights.
Right.
No. But
Yeah, I'm so glad he mentioned that last part there. I had forgotten about that. It sucks. It does. You get in there at the combine, you get under it, and you're like, well, hey, what the hell? And there is something to you working out in your own gym. Some of the weights have lost a little bit of weight over the years. They're not right. They're not 45 pounds exactly. And then the bar is stiff because it's a brand new bar. The knurling is biting into your hands. And it feels a little wrong. And everything they said about the adrenaline maybe sometimes giving you a boost, it feels like the fresh equipment and everything else kind of negates it. As far as him not getting sleep the night before, I don't want anybody to worry and think that he was out partying. It became very obvious in this interview that he is not a partier. He's got a fiance and he just likes hanging out at home and cooking and everything. We know that him and Jaden Higgins like to fish. He's a freshwater fisherman, so he's going to learn about saltwater, hopefully in Houston. It's a very good interview. I've got a link below so you can check that out. But the not getting sleep the night before, that's the other part of the combine that sucks. And I know you've seen people talk about this before probably, but by the time you get to the workout part of everything, it's so non-ideal. And that's why people hate it. It's not the turf is slow or anything like that. It's just that you're tired and you're just thinking, man, this is when I should be getting up and just feeling the best I ever have in my life. But by the time you're benching, you've talked to 20 different teams, you've been through 5 different physicals because they won't let you do just one physical. You got to go 5 different places. That part of it sucks. The fact that he got 23 reps is very impressive. I'm usually not impressed by weight room stuff because a lot of times the strongest guys are not strong on the football field. They've just got strength and nothing else. With Noel, it's obvious that he's fast too. But when you think about stout slot receivers, and he will play on the outside also. It's not like he's going to be exclusively in the slot. I think I like Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs was a rocked up dude. You when you see him in person, I saw him in person for the first time. I was like, oh, that's not. Yeah, when he's standing next to tall wide receivers or, obviously next to offensive linemen, whatever, he doesn't look that big, but he's stout and you got to be built to take a lot of damage over the middle. That part I like a lot. I love this kid. I already liked him from interviews I'd watched with him before, but now I really like him. In regards to him you're going to love this answer. Okay, they asked him, what is his first big purchase?
Signing bonus that you're getting. What's your first purchase? Like, what's your first big purchase?
Oh, man. If I don't get like a furniture deal or something, I'm going to get some nice furniture.
Okay.
Furnish the crib.
So you're getting a crib, though. That would be, you're buying a crib?
Renting.
Okay.
Renting. I won't buy until a second contract.
Right.
But yeah, I guess crib, go into it, some furniture.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep my little Toyota Camry for a little.
You got a Toyota Camry?
Yeah, 2021, red interior. So,
that's
it's good enough.
It's good enough.
Point B.
That'd be tough.
Yeah.
A 2021 Camry, and he's sticking with it. I had many of you might remember Tony Brackens, really good defensive end from the University of Texas, played in Jacksonville. Tony was driving his Cam, as he called it, and it was an old Camry. I mean, I don't mean old because it was 1997 and everything was like, no, it was from a few years prior. It was one that he'd had since high school. And he was still driving his Camry. Saw no need to get a new one. And he was single. So it wasn't, Jalen Noel's got a fiance coming up. He doesn't have to impress anybody. And I know Camrys have kind of amped up their game in the last couple of years. I like that a lot. Yes, I get it. The ideal answer is like a 1985 Ford pickup, but whatever. He's got a modest car. He's not even going to buy furniture if he can get a deal. These guys are so savvy now because of NIL. I don't know, like getting a furniture deal. I think rookies used to think about like, oh, maybe someday I'll be good enough to get a shoe deal or endorsement or something. He knows that he can go out and get I love it. He's going to find it's not as easy in the NFL to get some of these nice little deals from local vendors and whatnot, because he's going to learn real quick that all those NIL deals have nothing to do with good business sense. It was just a way for people to give a boatload of money to their players like a booster. But he's not looking to make a purchase on a house too. There's a big one. He wants to establish himself. And as we know, buying a house is a great long-term investment if you're going to live in it. Ends up just being really good for a lot of different reasons. If you're only going to be in a place for 3 years and then you have to sell it, even if you make a paper profit on it, the amount of upkeep and everything you put into it, God forbid you put a pool in it or something. There's a lot of things rookies don't know. They buy a huge house with way too much square footage for every damn first cousin to come and stay with you for way too long. Just live in a condo. Kevin Durant lived in a condo up there in Oklahoma City the entire time he was in Oklahoma City. You just keep it. That's good. I like this. This is the other part of that question that I think some people might not appreciate was the very tail end. They asked him, "Oh, okay. Well, you're planning on you're going to settle down there?
Going back, like living there for the rest of your life?
Oh, wait. Nah. They're asking if he was planning on going back to Kansas City.
Plan on going back, like living there for the rest of your life?
Nah, I'll probably get a place in like Dallas or something. My fiance is from Dallas. So,
yeah, that's better.
Yeah, okay, he saved himself there at the end. I first randomly, honestly, I heard the first part. I'm like, wait a second, out of nowhere, Dallas out of nowhere. You're just planning on getting a place in Dallas. His fiance is from Dallas. That's cool enough. I can live with that. Ideally and preferably, this would be what happened. 1, he's awesome for the Texans. 2, he falls in love with the city of Houston as well as his wife, and they decide, nope, we've got roots here. We've been here 15 years. Our kids are in school. We're staying in Houston. And then 3, at some point, he might realize that that's not always living in close proximity to your in-laws. It's not always. It's just it's. I gotta watch myself here. So next one. Oh, this was what I was impressed with, the maturity. I would have botched this question. They asked him if he had any of the really weird combine questions that you heard about. Those have fallen by the wayside a little bit now that teams are getting skewered for asking the really stupid questions. So they asked him about the weirdest question he got at the combine.
Question that kind of threw me off the most is like, what do you dislike most about football?
Right.
And so that made me think.
Yeah, so they're trying to fuck you. Like,
they trying to.
What'd you say?
Nah,
they asked me that
hate
too.
losing. That's
I said injuries.
Injuries,
like,
and that's a real thing. Though,
yeah.
I think, yeah.
Those are good answers. I would have overthought that for sure. I would have ended up throwing up one of my old buses under the bus or one of my old coaches under the bus or something. I don't know. I can't have. I'm too petty. I think I probably would have come up for that, and I was probably prepared for that one at the time. But it is a really good one. If usually I think a lot of those combine questions are dumb, but if they ask you, what do you hate about football or what's your least favorite thing? If you don't know enough to know that you should answer diplomatically, that's a red flag. Just by virtue of you not realizing like, oh, wait a second. Yeah, they want me to say something that's actually a positive. I'm a people person, that type of thing. My biggest weakness is that I care too much. So the fact that a lot of guys, I'm guessing, get asked that question, and then they do say, man, the coach we had the first 2 years was just a jerk. He yelled all the time. And no matter how accurate it is, you don't want to give that answer. There's advice for you kids out there, too. When you're in a job interview, be really, really careful about bashing your previous bosses, because the interview is looking at it as, oh, he'll be bashing us someday. It doesn't matter whether something's true or not. Not every truth needs to be spoken. Okay. This is the one. This is fun. And I hope you guys are going to be able to see the picture. They played a game called You Don't Know Ball, where they show pictures of various players, the headshots, and the interviewee, Jalen Noel, is supposed to guess who it is. And he was doing really, really well until this one came up.
This is
He's getting hints.
So I'll give him 4 for 6.
This is a quarterback?
Can I see? Yeah.
That's a quarterback. No, I'm not gonna get his name.
Heisman winner.
Heisman. He played for Texas.
Yeah. Nah, you got to get this one.
I do gotta get this one.
Beat USC national championship.
Yeah, like, I know who he is at this
Yeah.
point. I knew he played for Texas. Where you were? Number 10?
Yep. Vince Young.
Yeah, Vince Young. That's on me.
And he felt bad about it. I don't know if he knows that Vince Young is from Houston. I hope they have a laugh about that. I think I'm sure somebody's going to show that to Vince Young at some point. But it is also, man, it's a reminder of, wow, that was a long time ago. We're pushing almost 2 decades since then. And Jalen Noel would have just been a little baby. And to be fair, too, he was wearing an Eagles jersey, which you just don't associate him with that Eagles jersey. And he doesn't have a quarterback face in a lot of ways. So I give him a pass on that. But I feel bad that Vince Young is old enough that this is like a bygone era, that Vince Young's time with except that at least Jalen Noel did know that he played at Texas and that there was a national championship involved at least. There we go. Some people would say him not buying a house means he's already unhappy and wants to be traded. Yes, there will be somebody who will spin it that way. I think the one thing that there was an answer he gave that I really liked when they asked about his first impressions of Houston. And he said something about how it's big, man. Like he looks at Kansas City, where he's from, is kind of like a mid-sized city, which is accurate, but it has almost a small town feel to it. You don't get any kind of you don't get a small town feel in our suburbs anymore, depending on which suburb you're in. You get a mid-sized city feel in our suburbs, in some of our suburbs. I think the biggest thing that I remembered when I came to Houston at the first was I had lived up in the Northeast. I lived in Florida. And Jacksonville is more deep south than it is like your typical Florida city. It's more like it's got a South Georgia feel to it in a lot of ways, and it's a small city. When I got to Houston, my first thought was, this feels a little bit like the best of both worlds, because it's not slow paced like the deep south, but people are friendly like it's the deep south. And it's not going to be as friendly as you're sitting on somebody's grandma's porch in Alabama or something, but it's slowed down, but people are friendly. They say hi to strangers, all of that stuff, but there's still a certain energy to it that I felt like suited my personality more. And then the other part about Houston that even people who have grown up, especially people who grew up in Midwestern cities and then come to Houston, are, I think, a lot of times blown away by like how many the extreme diversity of it. And yes, within living areas, there's pockets of homogeneity, but there's also a lot of places in the city and in some of the suburbs where, man, it's like scenes from my first thought when I first got to Houston was, this is like the scenes from movies where there's like people from all different races just getting along well together, but like in a way that I don't think really exists in real life. I got to Houston, I was like, oh my gosh, we're living in the movies. It was like, look at this. I got an Indian guy hanging out with a black guy who was talking to their white friend, and an Asian just walked in, and it was really cool. And then you get to meet people who grew up in all corners of the world. Like, there aren't a lot of places like Houston.